This is my near-death experience. I was severely wounded in combat. I tried my best to read the Bible despite my atheism since I was interested in religion. Nonetheless, I was unable to understand it. I can say without reservation that, without worrying about the afterlife, I was able to unwind and savor life. Thanks to my fortunate upbringing, I was able to maintain a positive view on life because the influences were generally favorable. I humbly offer this perspective. At a public gathering in February 1990, I drank a little too much. Since the party encountered some difficulties, officials sought aid from the police. The two cops who withdrew me from the event then took me outside, where they insisted I remove my jacket bearing the emblem. See it? Havel for president. His next move was to become president. At the time, all Czech Socialist Republic police officers were compelled to be communists. This happened shortly following the Velvet Revolution. Because the situation was still unclear to both the revolutionaries and the police, our discussion was tough. But then it hit me. I have been a hero. Now I understand why I was against removing the sign. When they decided to remove it forcibly, the confrontation started. Two cops with truncheons can't stand a chance against a drunk guy with nothing but his alcohol. Following a barrage of blows, the last one finally struck me on the head. I would say so. I don't know. Because I was drunk, I don't remember much. That I tripped and fell is something I remember. My mind kept telling me that this was it. I was going to die as I lay there on the cold grass. Two police officers were apparently arguing, with one officer reportedly saying, "You killed him." After I lay there for a bit, I could make out the drunken, sleepy man sprawled out on the grass by himself. Just why is he dozing off in this exact spot? My mind raced with questions. Give up on relocating. Either I need to wake him up or I need to get him inside, away from this icy grass. I must move swiftly because something horrible is going to happen to him. I thought, that's strange. This man has my shoes and my jacket on, and he has the same hair as me too. As I studied his face to see if I could identify him, it took some time for me to realize that the man was indeed me. Yes, I am. Seeing a faraway reflection of myself was a first for me. That caught me off guard. After realizing I had no idea how to go back into my body, I decided to ask for help. Dearest darling, I had already returned home almost at the same time that the idea of doing so crossed my mind. My children slept in their respective rooms as their mother read a book in bed. Upon my arrival in the bedroom, she suddenly jolted and bent her head toward me, as if trying to comprehend her feelings, but she seemed oblivious to my presence. I decided to return and get my body. There was no change to the whereabouts of my body even after my return. I felt totally free and at peace with the world the second it happened. My anxiety subsided, and I even felt fantastic. Not long after, I became aware of a little dazzling dot hovering over me, as if beckoning me to approach. I began to walk faster in the direction of that light after sensing a tremendous pull toward it after some time had passed. At first, my pace was really slow, but when I warmed up, I was soon flying. There was a real fear that I may die at that incredibly high speed. It was as if I were careening into the edge of space. The objects passing me seemed to be in a tunnel effect due to my high speed. I had a one-of-a-kind learning experience since I could get nonverbal answers to all of my questions in real time while we were in the air. The moment I reached the dazzling light, it swallowed me up and I became one with it. I was swept away by an intense and overwhelming affection. A being who could communicate with me and was also a part of the light materialized in my mind. Since the creature knew all my secrets, actually, he knew my every move. Nothing was kept under wraps during our talk. Here, lies are not tolerated. From the day I was born until that exact second, the being knew my every move, including my thoughts. It was as if my whole life had materialized before my own eyes. While we watched it, we talked about it nonverbally. For the first time, I found myself able to observe myself objectively. As a result, any time that me did something wrong in my panorama, I thought the other me was ugly, cruel, etc. It was dreadful to be the one who was criticizing me. My past hurts and the repercussions of my words and deeds made me feel so vulnerable that tears fell from my eyes. To my relief, the being was enveloping me in love as it eased my pain. My time on Earth was brief, and I was told I had to return after the panorama was finished. Why am I compelled to return when I am experiencing such pure joy? This is what I was thinking as I sobbed again. I would rather not go back to that dirty world because this place is so beautiful. Showing me scenes from my future, the entity attempted to convince me that I needed to return immediately, but it failed. I had no idea how much time had passed since time did not exist in that place. Either 10 years or 1 hour may have passed. I found myself floating above my body as an emergency doctor was treating to it. As soon as it happened, I was back in my own skin. After a couple of sneezes, it's time to get down to earth again. They likely would have rather taken me to the emergency room since I got up and left. My eyes were covered in a haze when I woke up the following morning after a strange dream the night before. I found it really strange that my spirit wasn't drunk. While I was in my spirit, I could remember every detail with absolute clarity, but when I became drunk, my body forgot everything. Everything returned to normal for me after what seemed like an age after my ordeal. I had forgotten about the dream for quite some time. A little magazine that had excerpts from Raymond Moody's most recent book caught my eye, and I read those lines. The dream was totally real, as I could tell right away. At the same moment, every emotion and detail of the incident resurfaced in my mind. It caught me off guard. Some aspect of another person's loving presence, which cannot be seen, was quite obvious to me. Tell me what you want me to know. As I started to cry, I asked, how can I become a more likable person like you? I felt driven to read the Bible soon after, despite the lack of response. It was all crystal clear to me right away. At that moment, everything changed in my life. Ever since then, I have dedicated my life to helping others, loving others via my deeds, and making a difference in the lives of everyone I encounter. It was exhausting to try to be happy. In October of 2012, I had a heart attack. My wife still didn't seem interested 5 years after I tried to bring it up with her. I think my kids are more attuned to the spiritual side of life than I was when I was their age. Some people are glad to hear about it, and I hope it helps those people. The dishonest people tend to avoid discussing the fact that they think I'm stupid. They become very agitated whenever I am required to narrate a tale to them. It doesn't annoy me because they should know about it anyway. No matter how little the decision, I always consult with those affected before making it. Whether I'm at work or at home, I always try to weigh the pros and cons and think about the possible results. Assuming it will have a positive effect, I will consider how it will affect people's lives, taking into account both the happy and unpleasant outcomes. My primary objective is to make sure that most of my loved ones are happy, regardless of how unhappy some of them may be. Now that I'm too sick to maintain my aesthetically pleasing lifestyle, I need to give some thought to self-care. How can I change my mind when I already know the road to the blazing light that will dispel all love doubts? I am certain that there is nothing to be afraid of in relation to death and the hereafter. It would be absolutely perfect if I could meet up with the warm light again in the spot where we first met. I have 2 grandkids, a happy wife and 3 children, and a prosperous life, but my real home is not here. It is there. Its importance will never diminish. I can't help but think about it constantly. To find out about a woman's 2 near-death experiences, one when she was young and one when she was older, watch the film that is linked below.